You ever feel like your faith is supposed to be this big, roaring fire, but really, it's just kind of a fading ember? Well, today we're going to talk about what it actually takes to reignite that flame, to go from just kind of lukewarm to being genuinely on fire for God. I mean, it's a question a lot of us probably ask ourselves, right? In those quiet moments, is there really a passion there, a warmth, or does it just feel like something's missing? And hey, if that question hits home, you are definitely not alone. So many of us get stuck in that spiritual in-between. You're not cold, but you're for sure not on fire either. So let's really break this down. On one side, you've got this lukewarm faith. It's all about indecision, right? It's comfortable, it's convenient. But then on the other side, you have a fiery faith. And that's all about decisive commitment, real passion, a super clear sense of purpose. The difference is huge. And really, it all boils down to one thing: a choice. And to really get a grip on what this choice looks like, we're going to dive into this incredible, dramatic story from the Old Testament. It's all about Elijah and his big challenge on Mount Carmel. So here's the scene. The people of Israel, they were totally spiritually divided. I mean, they'd worship the one true God, but they were also kind of keeping one foot in the door with this other false god, Baal. Their loyalties were just split right down the middle. And right into the middle of all this confusion steps the prophet Elijah. And he is just done with the wishy-washy stuff. So he proposes this ultimate showdown, a public contest on Mount Carmel to settle it once and for all: who is the real God? And this is the challenge he throws down to the people. It's so direct, you can't miss it. He basically says, how long are you going to waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. He's saying, look, you can't have it both ways. Stop limping around. It is time to make a choice. And their response? Nothing. Absolute silence. And that silence says everything, doesn't it? It's the sound of indecision, of being spiritually paralyzed. They were so stuck in the middle, they just couldn't, or maybe wouldn't, give an answer. Okay, so what happens next? This is the part that is so crucial for us today, because Elijah is about to show that real, true commitment has to come before you see the miracle. So first, the prophets of Baal have their turn. They're dancing, they're shouting, they're even cutting themselves. And crickets. Nothing happens. No fire. Then it's Elijah's turn. And watch this. He doesn't just start praying for fire. No. He prepares for it. He goes through this very specific, deliberate process. First, he rebuilds the broken-down altar using 12 stones, one for each tribe of Israel. Then he arranges the wood and the sacrifice. And then he does something that seems completely nuts. He has them douse the whole thing with 12 large jars of water. I mean, everything is soaked. The wood, the sacrifice, the stones. He makes it absolutely impossible for a human to light it. Now that is a radical act of faith. And only after all of that, then he prays. And God's response to this crazy, all-in act of faith? It was immediate. It was overwhelming. The fire of the Lord fell. And this just shows you the power of God's response when someone is totally committed. The fire didn't just burn up the sacrifice. It vaporized everything: the wood, the stones of the altar, the dirt itself, and all that water in the trench. Gone. It was a complete, undeniable mic drop moment. So what in the world does a story from like 3,000 years ago about a prophet and a stone altar have to do with you and me? Well, turns out, everything. Let's talk about how we can bring this into our lives right now. See, your personal altar isn't made of stone. It's that place in your heart, the very center of your life that's dedicated to worship and commitment. It's what you prioritize above everything else. It's what you give your life to. So, how can we rebuild our altar? How do we invite God's fire into our lives? Because just like with Elijah, we have to actively prepare for it. This isn't something that just happens by accident. It always follows a decision to rebuild and commit. The process for us actually looks a lot like Elijah's. First, you have to make a clear decision. No more wavering. Then, you got to get rid of the competing idols and distractions. You know what they are. Maybe it's your career, a relationship, your own ambitions. After that, you commit everything. And I mean everything to him. Even the parts that seem impossible, the parts that are soaked in water. You give it all. And finally, you trust that he will respond to that commitment. And this is really the key. That incredible, all-consuming spiritual passion we all want, it isn't about emotional hype. You can't just manufacture it. It's born from a decisive commitment. It's the natural result of making a choice to rebuild that altar in your heart and dedicate it completely and totally to God. You know, Elijah's challenge on that mountain, it echoes all the way down to today, and it lands right here with us. The choice is still the same: wavering or worship, complacency or commitment. That choice is yours. So the question is, what fire will you fuel today?